the one and only Mukundu. Come on, David.
It's really saying.
Long time.
Yeah, long time, but Tiripo.
Tiripo?
Yeah,
how's everything been, Komo?
Everything has been okay. We are glad with my mask. But I'm not sure about how fake one is. One of my trust issues. But
Blaz, reason why Taku did us is because we have an issue that we're discussing, and we figured out the only person we can talk to you about this story and really give us an honest opinion, because you have sort of like experienced this at the highest level, working with Chiwoniso Maraere, working with Oliver Mtukudzi, and working with all the artists who you've worked with, and also in your individual capacity, going out of the country to teach, to lecture, to perform, and a lot of that. You've seen this happening. So there's something that we are calling the small market syndrome. Small market syndrome is the syndrome because you're a small market Zimbabwe, everything that's outside of you always seems like it's better, right? Saka, at any given point, Zimbabwe, we're always consuming something that's not ours. So we're in a constant state of consumption, right? There was a time in this country where everyone was consuming Kanindo. Then everyone at a certain point atatanga utatapinda muchifezi cherumba. Tatatanga kuterera rumba zvinoshamisa. Tatapinda mphase ye American music when Radio.Thurs started. Tatatutanga kutoita isusu cha
American music yatanga kuma 70s patantine ma rock artists
muchitoisi kwa Jerry Curl nene
vanhu vachitopfeka
kana mapfumo angatori
rock artist
anti okay. Then we keep moving, and we always see that at any given point, even right now, if you go out in Zimbabwe, you experience 10 hours of amapiano kunge Zimbabwe akusikugadzirwa music that people want to listen to. But it's because we're a small market, and it always seems like what's out there is better. What's been your experience with the small market syndrome in the music industry?
In the music industry, it's a big issue, but there are several reasons that causes that problem. And number one, psychology pane yavanoti the mere exposure effect yekuti ukanyonyopiwa chinhu so many times ndochaunopedzera kufarira. So tikada kutarisa history yedu yemusic muZimbabwe, music industry nono yatanga kuma 1930s. And during the colonial era, vanga vasingadi kuti ma local music fans vaterere black music. Savaingopa rock music ne country music because dzanzina ma conscious lyrics. As a result, ma Zimbabweans nyaya kuti ndozva varingopiwa paredio, vakaisa paredio varingonzwa rock music pese pese, vakaenda maclubs varingonzwa rock music, ndoya vakapedzera vakuda because ndoya varikuita sei, ndoya vari kupiwa. So when it comes to music manje, it's
wait, before you move on from that, is this the reason why Zimbabwe music, what then becomes our indigenous sound in the form of Sungura, is very guitar heavy?
That could be the reason, but still ukatarisa around Africa, the guitar ndorino dominate pama Western instruments is more than any other instrument. And also kuma 60s, there's a time paka released this album by this group which was very political, pakatango record music munomu. So for some time pakambomira kutoridzwa local music in Zimbabwe vachitya kuti vanhu vanenge vachimba zviri political, ndopakatanga kuflooda music yeku South Africa. So I suspect kuti from that time vanhu pavangotanga kungoda music dzekunze. But above all that, usually yanambotaura the mere exposure effect yekuti zvamunopiwa ndo zvamunonyogamuchira. Saka tikati isusu paredio takuvapa amapiano bhozi ndoya vari kuda tichitoisa dhongi kumberi kwechikochikari bhozi tisi tavapa amapiano yacho, then ivo bva vatanga kuifarira tavablema futi kuti
so ndoya vava kuda kunzwa pavanoenda out
bhozi ndoya tiri kuvapa. Saka it comes back to nyaya anonzi cultural quotas, mitemo inoregulata airplay. Those laws are all over around the world. Because around the world panooneka syndrome kekuti vanhu vanongoda zvinhu zvinobva from bigger countries like tikata South Africa, mune South Africa, mune Nigeria, around the world kune USA. So mukasa regulate nyika idzo dzinokutonga.
But you see the thing with with the regulation, it was easy at a point. For example, Pakaito 100% local content, 75 and then 100. It was so easy to do it at the time because we were consuming our music mostly from radio and mostly from the TV. But now, how do you regulate Munar Kushandisa phone yake and internet yake to find their music? Because now they're doing it by themselves.
What happens, Magic? When it comes to airplay on national radio or national TV, those are issues of national interest.
Yeah.
Ipapapo ndupamuno regulator. But of course, kumba kwemunu kwa gara ku regulator. Because gadata around the world, even ku nana states, people like Oliver Mtukudzi, wangu waito nema fans ku states, wana Thomas Mafuma nema fans ku states. But munu wesa anafara Oliver Mtukudzi, anafara Thomas Mafuma, anoridza mba kwake, anoridza mota make. When it comes to national radio, they play as well. In fact, I think it comes back to what we can call national ego.
Yeah.
As Zimbabweans, we have got zero national ego.
Yeah. But is that not that national ego actually comes from the fact that Tiri a small market, and so because Tiri a small market, because what happens when you're constantly just consuming other people's things, unopesa na identity. Imi kuno kutembo hayam scan anonzi slicer. Uporongi. How in the world are we paying that child to come and sing here?
Yeah, but when it comes to national ego, places like Jamaica, one when it comes population, I think it's
2 million.
Yeah, 2-3 million. It's very small population. But okay, some Jamaican napo, some Zimbabwean napo, body language yega inokuzoti ane pride nizvari in the upi. Because the Jamaicans want to feel oti ndakapenga.
Yeah.
Even young asina kuchena yo wakafana kuchena anongofila ndiriboka tasa bob malanga satombocheneseri. So I don't know how we were colonized. I think we were colonized in a very special way. Because colonialism ndemwe inobvisa self pride. Colonialism ne slavery. That's why you're not even Bible New Testament yakanyorwa in Greek. Because I'm colonized with my Romans.
You know, we talk about it even with my accent. When a Zimbabwean moves and goes to South Africa, I mean to UK, it doesn't take very long.
South Africa,
even South Africa, but especially to UK, and by the time we go to Heathrow Airport, I'm out in it, bro. What you saying? What you saying, bro? And Nigerians don't assimilate.
Yeah.
Nigerians, I think the second generation Nigerian US.
My brother-in-law Rutijigiza Jolof.
Even partner collaborations. Zimbabweans partner collaborations were always swallowed. That is Zimbabwean sound, it becomes an afterthought. Munaigona chete power play iyo was Oliver Mtukudzi.
Yeah.
But vamwese akaita collab nemunhu wekudRC music yato yekudRC unotozonzwa later kuti pane kashona karuta.
But Mkoma, tell us your experience in working with people, because you've worked with people who managed to scale from a small market and were able to export themselves to a bigger market and to actually be part of the conversation in a bigger market. Oliver Mtukudzi, Chiwoniso Marere come to mind. Can you tell me stories on how they did it in your travels? How did they handle themselves? How did they make their music? And why was their music able to be scaled at that level?
It's simple. It's national ego. Oliver Mtukudzi was so proud to be Zimbabwean. Chiwoniso was so proud to be Zimbabwean. She was born in the USA. She was an American citizen. She could have easily become an R&B artist, but and she spoke Shona fluently. So when it comes to the international market, they are always looking for something different. And the best way to be different is to be yourself. And so when it comes to the international market, they are always looking at number one, originality. Are you sounding like yourself? Number two, authenticity. Do you sound like where you come from? That's why you know in Zimbabwe, 1930s, pakatanga music industry in Zimbabwe, we have always had artists vaifunga kuti vaite international vanofanira kusounda foreign. But vanhu vakaita international ndo vacho vainzi mabharanzi vaita zvemuno vacho, people like Oliver Mtukudzi, Thomas Mafuma, Stella Chiweshe, Bundu Boys. But even Bundu Boys pavakatoenda kuEurope vakatofunga kuti tichinatsoita big, let's sing in English tosounda ningirini western, but zvakabva zvotouraya masales avo vakatonzi dzokera back kuZimbabwe muno rekodha futi. The same thing happened even to Bob Marley paakaenda ku Island Records. But the good thing is vana Bob Marley vakanzi na Chris Blacko, we want to market you as a black rock group. Vakati no, tourism zvokumusha kwedu.
Yeah.
It comes back to national ego yatanishataura yaya.
Yeah.
Then vapiwa mari yekunorekodha back kumusha kwavo ka6 studio keuya ainzi Lee Scratch Perry kakari ka studio kemanga pandokaibudisa sound. Saka nzara yenyu neka equipment kaminako kenzara ikaka ndokanitoburisa sound yenyu more than my big equipment yeuko because zvinechekui imukana mine nzara mine equipment kenzara munotoshanda zvinoenderana nezvaminazvo ende zvinobudisa something.
Funny, I was saying, do you know why UK artists in the diaspora can't make music? It's hard for a UK artist to make a song that connects with home.
Yeah.
Because they're not connected with the stories from home.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not connected with the everyday struggle.
True.
You're not connected with the everyday joy, the everyday happiness and everything.
The mood. You're not in touch with the energy.
You're
and
not
the
attached.
yeah.
So whenever they move out, a lot of the times it kills. Saka, what is it about us small market people when we get to the big market, why we get swallowed up?
We get swallowed up because of lack of national ego. Because you go from what I'm smaller. Because one thing chandakatanga kuadmire pana Oliver Mutukudzi was the confidence. Because Oliver Mutukudzi angasingade zvese kuti akasvika pane maJamaicans pane maAmericans anopeta muswe oita body language yemurore aitosvika akasimudza musoro with pride zvekuti wega. Because you know with music anything chawaita even a mistake ukaita mistake without with confidence inotopiwa zita rekuti it's an interpretation. Ukaimba uri off key zvinonzi wanzwa here art yacho inoita kunge yakarasika but anga akatorasika zvicho. But even nyange uchigona ukakwira pastage uchitonge mbavha inoda kutoba gitari pastage papo uchitonge nyange ukagona sei
it will never matter.
Saka iyo ndo yaita kuti people like Oliver Mutukudzi nana Chioniso, they were very proud to be Zimbabwean. And they understood that language is an instrument. Most people think that we in Shona, Chirungu, not international. But Shona, there are certain sounds Shona do not affect the way you sing. So language becomes an instrument. So music it has international not waimba Shona. That's why not all the people that became international in Zimbabwe waimba Shona on Debele or language So if you want to be international, be Zimbabwean.
You know, it's very interesting, and I can imagine talking to some of the younger people, some of the younger artists, and they constantly talk about Kuti. But you know, it's easy for an Oliver Mutukudzi to do that because he was already he's in that presence because of what he's achieved already. But for Varukutanga, what's the model that works best? And I have a friend, Nunzi Tanya Tawengwa, Dr. Tanya Tawengwa. She's a musician based in the US.
Yeah, I also produce music.
You also produce incredible. So I was talking to Tanya, and she was saying, you know what? The problem is people try to go for mass market all the time. There's so many artists in the US who make their living just off of doing my theater tours. You're performing to 50 to 100 people all the time, but you're performing 2 or 3 times a week in different theaters around the US, and you live it's sustainable way of making money.
Yep.
Maybe that's the way to go.
No, but in Zimbabwe now, this is where the market politics comes into play.
Yeah.
Right, we don't have the numbers to sustain that.
No, but I'm talking about the people that feel the need to go international. The people that are saying the Zimbabwean market isn't good enough.
Gotcha.
Instead of saying, let me go and be a mass market in South Africa or in the US, how about you just make really good exotic music? Music, good to people listen and they're like, we've never heard this before. But there's always 50 to 100 people in any place.
We're giving you 30 pounds, 20 pounds.
30 pounds, 20 pounds. And they're coming up with like Mukoma was saying, it could be off key, but it works.
Well, why is it in Zimbabwe the only music we're able to export for the most part in Ngeri, Adambira music, traditional music? What I don't really like about a lot of those identities, because it's got a caricature of what Zimbabwe should sound like.
What Jamaica should sound like.
Yeah, but
reggae and dancehall. So the Mbira is who we are. That's why you're not, like you said, we've never exported any type of music more than we've exported Mbira, because that's who we are. So in my belief is like your Torema small markets. Let's look like places like Jamaica. It's a small market, but for you to not set a mari, you need to go international. That's why in Zimbabwe one cannot set a mari shinu ne music. One wherever it is very traditional, very chichi people like all from Wana Choni, so wana Thomas Mufumbo, because they exported their music. But could we export a manjika? You can't export R&B to America. You can't go to America on where is hip hop exactly the same way they play it. Because one I want to correct up, they want waimba like this. For so you cannot export a hip hop. Ungato is Zimbira Mkati, African church, something that you are coming from Zimbabwe. Koto don't know in the York States on sound exactly like 50 Cent, exactly like Cardi B. Apana kwa nenda bozi vana so utra ndo paka moto yako paka ngomota kudara.
They already have a better version of what you're doing.
How far does so the other flip side to the small market syndrome is that sometimes we don't know how to make products that we can sell outside.
Yeah.
So for example, I'm going to use this example and I've been using it. Winky D is a great artist. But for the most part, Winky D can only connect to people who are here.
Let me tell you the problem with I'm not targeting Winky D alone, I'm just targeting dancehall and hip hop. Those genres are lyric based genres. One. Ukaisirwa instrument reggae na kids untozonakidzwa ne zviri kuimbwa with the language, with the inonzi rhyming here ndakasaka nemapachi akapfeka mapatapata ekwabata rhyming kaka ndokanokunakidza. So for somebody asinganzwi shona, it doesn't mean anything. One, that's the reason why tisina hip hop ne dancehall yekutanzania iri popular in Zimbabwe, because atinzwe language yantaura. But when it comes to other genres of music like mbira, reggae music, rock music, music is really lyric based, it's based on the overall sound.
Yeah.
So no matter even using the language, you enjoy the music. So I know the problem is dance or hip hop. That's why you know wanemba dance or hip hop from Zimbabwe. I doubt very much watch a forget international.
Yeah.
I want to be honest. I doubt very much because the music is lyric based.
Yeah. I think you'd actually have to be good enough. So you'd have to be, if you're a hip hop act that breaks cuckoo in the US, you have to be as good as J. Cole.
Not just good shit. You have to be different, because the music industry good is not enough and talent is not enough. You need to talent is not everything.
Yeah.
You need something different. Ndopa yapanaita kuti kana iri hip hop ungatoisa tuma elements tweZimbabwe tunazo identify wane Zimbabwe. Fana zvanhu zvaitwa ne piece of ebony zvezve kuti wanoisa mbira woisa ma hooks anenge achiimbwa zviri very musical, then wozopinda ne hip hop. Even nyange ukaimba ne shona, but the overall sound yacho ikaita very Zimbabwean.
Have you encountered Tanto Wavy by any chance? An artist anonzi Tanto Wavy.
No, where is it from?
He's a Zimbabwean artist. So initially his genre was called Tribe Su, which was a mixture of tribe music and sungura. And then now he has the Ama Sungura, which is a mixture of Ama Piano and Sungura.
But I've got a problem with that element, because it seems like overall ananga kopa futi from trip our sound is sort of like an afterthought. Because you know to kapa music, what gives music description is the rhythms.
Yeah.
Saka ukatora ma rhythms amapiano wariza nembira, it's still amapiano.
It's still amapiano, but at least now you're giving people a local element and you're giving them something different even in their market. So ukayendesa ama sungura to South Africa. Yes, in ama elements amapiano, because that's what will make it more palatable to my South Africans. But you're now putting in the sungura, and then maybe over time you can actually transition.
Did you make it? I got a breakthrough in South Africa.
He's still new. In Bombay time.
But one thing, yeah, that's a good point. Because Pana want upcoming until Africa. But Pana one thing, Jandu Dawida point out, music industry, it's not just about the talent.
Yeah.
It's not just about Kugona Kwamun or how good the music is.
Yeah.
It's also about the business side. And you got some kwese kunobudura music, including Zimbabwe madezi pa fire stereo pepe with my record labels. Because my record labels vanenge vaine mari yekumarketa and vaine ma machine yekunatso-pusha the business side of things.
Yeah.
So kadota Zimbabwe, since pakapinda digitalizing, hatisina ma record labels. So for us kuti tiite breakthrough internationally, because people think it's just music. It's not just music. The reason why Bob Marley is the first superstar from the third world is because he was the first artist from the third world to be backed by a huge international label. Some matana record labels at the moment, but at the same time, even record labels. But for them to identify you, you need to have something different. I remember Nambo dance or seminar so. Until you Zimbabweanize this genre, this is what dance to the world, Zim dance to the world, kunyeperana. Because ukatasa hip hop chaya mwana we dance, do you know that? Because mnakatanga hip hop ainzi DJ Cool Yeg. Saka akatry that concept aenda ku States, my parents akapaka move to States 1973. Va introduce some dance elements ku States. Create a hip hop. That was 11 August 1973. Papiti sister yake enzi Cindy. That's why hip hop was born. But my Americans, they did not copy Jamaicans. Waka copy the concept, not the music. And they don't even use part. You know, ukachitara hip hop. Utasa dance. Out it on two genres. But hip hop mwana we dance.
Mukoma was your.
So my local artist. What are we with hip hop? It's fine with but Zimbabweanize it.
I also added, I don't get it why Zimbabwean artists, dancehall artists, they get called for interviews and you're trying to have a conversation with them. What are you doing?
And do you know it's simplified patwa. Because ukatanga utaura patwa chayo original chacha. Auna kana one way dronons. One chero. Indakaroda Luciano kapaka ya 2015 pepe ne collab yaketa na Japreza, the one who produced that track. Aiti kana vakutaura pachawo vega ne managers ake. Apana kana one way doraenza. Kana uzotaura nesu manje over simplify. Pampacha itombokanga nozoti sorry. Auna kuti apana chaturunzwa. Ozoti sorry over simplify. Sabu yatinoti yebarana yakuti patwa muno muchitana wana big up anachi itori simplified patwa yekutoti titonzwawo. Kana yakutaurwa mbishi vesa unyebera ndo vanotaura patwa apana chavanotaura.
Yes, Rasta. Gomamono Mukundu is here and it's just saying sometimes we just lack, not sometimes, most of the time, all the time, we lack national ego, that pride, that we are Zimbabwean, we are Zimbo, Tirwaroji.
That's why mchechi mukapinda mu-American tauda kutoimba chamirian chatisingagone mukapinda mu-South African. I remember the other time pane leader music ku Fig Church kwekwe.
Right.
Saka paka lead vocalist akwa itomhanya kuti the preacher wanasi is from America, we need to change the music. That why? Zvanzi kuti anzwe that miles we are going to give Africa kuti azive kuti ari kuAfrica. And that woman knows that akazotaura kuti hanzi ever since I came to Africa this was the first time I've experienced African praise worship. Atokumbira mufundisi ndikumbira kupota nchiuya ndingoswa attenda zvangu praise worship even ndisingaparidzi. Because kwese kwaenda vanhu vatanga kuda kuimba mahill songs avo vasingagoni machichichi. Give them Africa. Vanzwe kuti tiri muAfrica.
Ngatiite kumaraini kwedu ama. Kumaraini kwedu yakaipa. Nyanzi ngatitaure nyadzi kumaraini kwedu.
Anze, I love and respect Mono Mukundu. I have a question for him. Why does it seem like our music isn't evolving? I'll give an example of South Africa. Their music has evolved over time. From Bakamba to Mapantsula to Kwaito and now Amapiano. They constantly refresh their music by producing new sounds. Why aren't we doing that in Zimbabwe with great musicians like Mono? This is Shepherd in Greendale. And I think this, because we've been talking about music in the urban space for the most part, dancehall, hip-hop. But in Kunana Sungura, I feel like even there the scene isn't what it used to be when we were growing up. And I think some of that could be because of a lack of evolution.
Okay. It's not every music inofana kuevolve. Because ukada kutaura mbaqanga yataura ichingoti mbaqanga namanje haina kana kumbochinja anything. It's still Maso Brothers we achingoridzana. Ukatasa ku states country music is still country music. Haina mabvira digitalized. Ukatasa rock music is still rock music. Inogona kuchinja wopongeswa a few new elements like these days vane ma solos mashoma and everything. But ichingori zvaka inga yakaita. But still pane mamwe new ideas anozonzwa like amapiano is simply house music. It's not even South African. It's just house music yaka South African just lines one. But point yandikabvumirana naye ndeyekuti kunza new styles ari indigenous. I think it comes back to problem yatutaura national ego yekuti ukatasa worldwide kunana South Africa kunana states vanonza those new ideas are the young ones vane national ego. But muno Zimbabwe manje the young ones ivo varifana kuunza those new ideas and those new sounds ndo vacho vari busy kukopa amapiano evamwe. Those are the ones who are busy copying sound yekunigeria neyekujamaica. Vakusiya zvavo because yedu yembire vakatsvaga ma-elements ekuningirinaka panotogona kubuda something because you can't expect that from 50-year-olds like me.
There's a certain artist whose name I shall not mention because he's really close to me. He sings in Pidgin and is in Zimbabwe. I'm like, why are you singing in Pidgin?
Yeah.
Who's that?
His name starts with an S.
Come on, give me a little bit more.
A little bit more?
Yeah, a little bit more.
His name sounds like something from The Lion King.
Mufasa, Simba.
You're on there.
Yeah, but you know that in my problem I took to Zimbabwe, we don't research, we don't read, we don't look at history.
Yeah.
Because history informs the present. And the reason why history keeps repeating itself because history but with different names. Because you are Nigeria, Mapiano is the same as I'm going to 1970 rock music. That's why when Thomas Mapuma was realized that rock is trend as well, but rock are not going anywhere. And they started playing something local and they became international. International, why rock music? Because one and a local sound. So I always stick to my point. You will never go international with a foreign sound. You need to be to Zimbabweanize. Unless Kamato Zimbabweanize like Zoetona like a Dwepa Kaisa Batranga Muregi.
Yeah.
I cannot Irimbishi, I can go down, Papa. You won't go. You know, for upcoming artists.
Andy, thanks Mkoma Mono. It applies in farming as well. We need to farm our indigenous crops for bigger export business. Absolutely true. Nice refreshing topic. I agree with your guest 100%. We have an inferiority complex as Zimbabweans. There is South African hip-hop sounds of MT. Hip-hop yake nika African sound, Bira Chaidzo, and it's nice. And then someone said, he makes good points. Remember how Winky D Reggae Musambo caught attention of that NBA chick, which was Tia Cooper, because of the rekete pekete and depete part. Authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity sells.
Yeah.
And pane zvirimwe apo do you know kuti chibaga chedu futi chibaga chikafu chemombe muno mutaidya sadza rezviyo nesadza remhunga amene munhu akatonzerwa chibaga anenge maportuguese. Portuguese saka
and sadza rezviyo as a product can be so exportable because even from a marketing standpoint you can sell people on the idea that it's low GI, it's better for your health than your traditional rice or your traditional potatoes and spaghetti.
But pane bhuku ranachitaura ere yakanyorwa na Professor Mozichikowero raitaura kuti hanzi vachina vakataura kuti let's create a new African, let's create a new Zimbabwean. Of course vaite Rhodesian time here because vangonoti vana sekuru chaminuka nanambuya naendo vaya vangwende that national ego yakutaura kuti isu takapenga pandiyo yavaida kubvisa and they managed to do it because ukadota right now muZimbabwean wese accent chaicho ukasataura chirungu chinenge chaamerican kana chibritish unotosekwa
chamerican
but ukaenda kustates kwacho koko nekuuk kwacho vanotokunzwa kuti hausi wekuno because I remember last time takamboenda nevamwe vafana vaizvita masalad vaitobvunzwa nziku where do you come from, you sound different. Kuita chisalad,
I come from the project.
because ukataza kustates kwacho kune accent yekuNew York, peta accent yekuChicago, peta accent yekumasouthern states,
apo urungu hakira dzese
yako ndeipi kana uchiti utaura American yako ndeipi.
So funny story, within the US when because the big music markets were either in LA or in New York, when music markets like Atlanta started popping up, especially within the hip-hop space, and groups like Outkast started coming out, people used to laugh at them.
Yeah,
kuti boys it's no sound on boys the musha on. But at the time it was because the people in Atlanta heard New York hip-hop, right? And they started to interpret it using southern elements to create hip-hop. That's what made Outkast so different and and even now they slurred their words and everything like that. That's what made them so different and unique. And that's why New York had a sound, or LA had a sound. That's why the West Coast, South Coast.
Each region into a sound.
But now with globalization now, because Kudara, you needed to be in LA for you to hear what's happening in LA, or you needed to be in New York for you to hear what's happening in New York. Now munhu wese nyangwa ininda kagara warara can hear kuitika ku New York and remake it. That's why you can create artists like a Nasty C where he sounds so American, or he sounds like he grew up there, or whatever it is. Komamono, we have to wrap up. What are your last words? 10 seconds, quickly.
My last words, for us to go international, we have to accept who we are. Zimbabwe is part of the international community, so whatever we produce with quality is international material.
And Usazofa Uri up and coming.
Well, it's monosophical. It is what it is. We say it like it.